Liana is the co-chair of this organization, and she is an amazing woman. Not only here, everywhere you see her, she came all the way from Vegas. Nice seeing you again.
So nice to see you, Wally. It's always a pleasure.
So tell me about this organization first.
Well, FAST Foundation is an amazing organization, and it is intended to keep scientists in Armenia and to help fund their research so they're able to have cutting-edge research and to grow the economy that has really become an amazing ecosystem for technology in Armenia. It's been booming. And in fact, there's two pillars to FAST. Actually, there's three. One is artificial intelligence education for the youth in high school, which will make a very marketable pipeline for them to enter into the workforce and fill technology jobs that are so in abundance now in Armenia. And so we really have a challenge to educate those youth. And by putting a program like this into the high schools, we're really able to prepare these.
They do this, right?
No, actually, last year was the inaugural year, the first year that we had it in Los Angeles. There have been events throughout the world, actually. There was just one in London and also in Boston where $500,000 was raised for the foundation. And this is now the second year in Los Angeles that we've been able to have this gala. And this year, I'm very honored to be the co-chair for this year's gala committee. It's really an honor. And to be able to give back to the youth and the young scientists in Armenia to empower our nation, to help it be a place where there is hope and there is security, and we are economically strong so that we stand proudly on the global stage. That's what we want for our nation, and that's why we're here tonight.
So currently, do they have, like COAF, American University, TUMO, they have facilities. Do they have anything like that?
As far as FAST has a main office, which is a state-of-the-art, beautiful facility. But as far as the actual facilities, they work in collaboration with other universities like AUA, Yerevan State University, and with that collaboration, they're able to use the labs and the facilities for the research as far as the advanced program, which is the scientific research.
How did you get into this?
You know, it's amazing how things happen and people find you when it's the right thing. And, you know, I have to say it's serendipity, but in a lot of ways, I think like-minded people find each other. And if you look at the, the tremendous co-founders of this foundation and the board of advisors, the board of trustees, they're a pretty dynamic bunch. And to be among them, to be able to help this foundation is really an honor. And I think hopefully we can do something great together.
They couldn't find anyone better.
Thank you.
You are amazing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Wally. It's always a pleasure.
To FAST founders and board of trustees, Dr. Noubar Afeyan, Mr. Artur Alaverdian, and co-founder Ruben Vartanyan, who is not physically here, but you will hear from him later on this evening. Also, a very special welcome. We didn't have time to do a sound check. Are we okay? There we go. A very special welcome to our keynote speaker this evening, Dr. Ardam Patapoutian. Sarfazan Hovnan Derderian, good to see you. FAST co-chairs and the Gala committee, a big round of applause for you tonight. I see my friend, Glendale City Councilman, former Mayor Karapetyan walked in. Good to see you. And honored to be at the table with Ms. Nazeli Hambardumian. So good to see you. Consul General of the Republic of Armenia of Los Angeles. Other distinguished guests, welcome tonight. Well, it's really nice to be back in this beautiful venue once again. If this is your first time attending this gala, we're excited to share with you what the mission of FAST is all about, and more importantly, why it is worthy of your time, and why we can use your support to make some really big changes for the future. You know, last year was FAST's inaugural fundraising gala. And since last year, FAST has made some incredible progress. Also had galas in Boston, New York, London. But it was here in California, and it was here with the Armenian community where it all began, with your generosity, your contributions, and your unwavering support. You have been the driving force for FAST's global efforts since last year. You have really spearheaded, you have kick-started, and you have set the stage for FAST to advance and to progress outside of Armenia. So a big round of applause to all of you here. And I also have to recognize the dedication of my good friend now, Armen Urugian. He is the one who introduced me to FAST of over a year ago. And it was his enthusiasm and his ambition, and I greatly admire someone who pays attention to detail. His meticulous way of doing things has really laid the groundwork to build the foundation of this organization. And as we all know, if you don't have a strong foundation in anything you do, it's not going to take you very far. He's also the reason I'm back here tonight. He's also the reason I sat 2 hours in traffic. And he may be the reason why I may fall down these stairs, because he designed this beautiful arrangement. Armen, no, thank you so much for everything that you do. Tonight we are here to highlight the progress and showcase what FAST is all about, the vision. It is an important vision for Hayastan.
provide us many years. In 2017, we established FAST Foundation with very bold vision to make Armenia one of the top 10 innovator countries in the world in 2041. And together, we will celebrate the same year, our 50th anniversary of independence. I'm strongly convinced with the FAST Foundation can really provide groundbreaking platform for entire Armenian scientists around the world to feel what they can be successful in Armenia, operating by best, highest international standards. We believe with FAST and with other our foundations, which we established together with Noubar, Afeyan, and many other our friends, we can make Armenia ecosystem competitive, successful, and bring difference to Armenia, but also to the world, and really feel what we achieve something which will be important, not only for our own generation, but for generations for the future, which will keep Armenia, an Armenian nation, continuing contributing to the world like we did thousands of years. This year, we want to acknowledge achievement, one of the top Armenian innovators, Dr. Ardam Patapoutian, who received highest reward in the world, Nobel Prize. He is one of the best examples, inspiring many Armenians, and not only Armenians, to really make the world different, make the world better. And I believe this type of example can drive our transformation. We believe, together with many Armenians who live around the world, we really can make difference. We believe, despite all the things which we are facing today, we have a unique chance to use our competitive advantage, our smart nation, to make Armenia successful and the world better. Thank you. And I want to say thank you for all your support, for everything that you're doing to make this dream reality.
A difference can be made, and working towards a positive change, again, together, really anything can be accomplished. Speaking of accomplishing things, it takes a real dedicated team to turn all of this into a reality. Truly a collaborative effort.
Afeyan, Mr. Ruben Vardanyan, Mr. Arthur Alaverdian, and their founding CEO, Dr. Armen Orujian, all had a vision. They launched FAST to begin the transformation of Armenia into a science-driven, innovative country by 2041. We are honored to be a part of that vision and this exciting, informative, and transformative evening. We are all united here by a shared passion, a common goal to advance Armenia. As two professionals and mothers, Lena and I understand and value the importance of education. More specifically, we believe that the youth of Armenia should have the same educational opportunities our children have here in the United States. And that is why we are here tonight. Tonight, you will hear from Dr. Ardam Patapoutian as he shares his journey and the role education played in achieving impactful outcomes. We are also joined by Dr. Afeyan, Mr. Alaverdian, and Dr. Orujian, along with FAST's chairs, board of advisors, Dr. Mary Papazian, and members of the advisory board, Dr. Abba Kavejan and Dr. Sarkis Karamijan. After last year's successful inaugural gala, FAST was able to bring to fruition 10 advanced research grants, funding the work of almost 50 research scientists, one of whom you will hear from tonight. As diasporans, we have a direct role impacting the future of Armenia.
Thank you, Liz. Good evening and welcome. As Armenian diasporans, we are proud of our nation because of our remarkable, groundbreaking, and outsized contributions to humanity in sciences, arts, and culture. Tonight, yes, we do. Tonight, we are ready, just like you, to help transform our nation into a 21st century technological powerhouse. For a small country whose mind is its power, Armenia is at a critical inflection point. A moment where we can change the trajectory of our nation. Armenia is often compared to tech powerhouse Israel, also known as the startup nation. In the last 3 years, tech companies in Armenia have increased in number by 40% to a total of 3,000, of which 2/3 are startups. Armenia's entrepreneurial ecosystem has experienced an exponential rise in angel and VC investment. So if Armenia aims to position itself as an innovation hub, it must capitalize on this momentum. One of the most important pillars to fuel this growth is for the education system to generate a pool of talent with specialized knowledge as a pipeline for tech jobs, sustainable growth, and capitalization. This is where the role of FAST is crucial. If technology is the great equalizer, FAST provides access to the tools and technology to Armenian students and scientists to level the global playing field with a unique generational opportunity to enter into artificial intelligence and scientific research to truly excel. But we cannot be what we cannot see. Armenia's youth need modern heroes in white lab coats to aspire to courage, curiosity, and perseverance as a reminder of what we are truly capable of. In fact, we have two of the most brilliant superminds of science, one of whom has made an indelible impact on science and altered the course of humanity, saving millions of lives globally, creating Moderna's COVID vaccine. FAST co-founder, our very own Dr. Noubar Afeyan, who we are so proud of. And next to him in this room, our brilliant keynote speaker who you will be hearing from, Dr. Ardam Patapoutian, the first Armenian Nobel Laureate to receive the greatest honor in science. We are so proud of you too. But we are missing someone. Who could that be? The next one could be in Yerevan, could be in Dilijan, in Lori, perhaps Goris, maybe Vardenis. The next gem waiting for the opportunity to discover his or her abilities. Tonight, we are here in common purpose, compelled to lift up our nation as believers in FAST mission. Mind is power. We can harness our superpower, the Armenian intellect, to build a brighter future. And by joining us, you have already taken a critical step to empower Armenia. And together, we will make it transformative. Thank you.
With the tireless support of a committee which spans coast to coast, from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to New York, and our team in Armenia, we gather here today to make this plan come true. Committee members, please stand and be recognized for your tireless efforts. is only with your support, our honored guests, that we can accomplish our united goal. Thank you to all our supporters, the innovators, champions, advocates, catalysts, spark level donors, and those of you who purchased your tickets to be here with us tonight. You are all appreciated. As you hear from tonight's presenters, let us come together one more time to continue to nurture the next generation. Welcome and enjoy your evening.
Thank you both for your leadership, dedication, service, and mostly your passion. That was passionate. I love of advisors member, as well as FAST's Vice President of Strategic Programming, Susanna Shalmakian from Armenia. She's also an associate professor of the American University of Armenia. She also keeps very busy, involved in a wide variety of social causes. Please welcome Mary and Susanna to the stage.
I think it's great how the scientists are using paper and the English professor is using technology. I think we should flip the switch, don't you think? Now, with those co-chairs, I'd do anything they said. They were amazing, and Lena and Liz, incredible leadership, just phenomenal. We're now going to talk a little bit tonight, Susie and I, about how it all works. What is the secret sauce in FAST? And I think it's the
մեկ ուրիշ հետազոտական ծրագիր մենք կարողանում ենք իրականացնել Joe Barnes-ի աջակցության շնորհիվ. Hi Joe Barnes, thank you so much for all your support. Քանի որ ծրագիրը գինու հետազոտության հետ է կապված, եւ պրոֆեսոր Հանսբինդերը մեզ խոստացել է, որ մի բաժակ լավ գինենք վայելելու ծրագրերի վերջում, անհամբեր ակնկալում ենք դա, սպասում ենք արդյունքները ծրագրի։
Question was, he said, Oruç, what does that mean? And Armin said, I don't know. I was watching this thinking, I don't know. I don't know if you know. But it turns out that the word Oruç in Armenian is Zoma Bahuchun. Zoma Bahuchun. How many of you have ever heard that word other than Sirpasan? Maybe Sirpasan hadn't heard it either. You had. Okay, a few people. I had not. Until tonight, actually, because I looked it up. Zoma Bahuchun is about when you don't eat, you don't drink, you restrict yourself and your intake. What is that called in English? Fasting. The guy's name is Fast. By the way, this is not a joke. This is reality. Enter in the translate, Google Translate, the word fasting, the act of fasting. And it'll come back in Turkish, oruç, O-R-U-C. So it's unbelievable kind of twist of fate that he's running an organization that was named before him, FAST, but there you have it. So there is hope. Okay, and then the third thing I want to do in passing, as I did last year, but this time it's more special for me, so permit me please, is that I have a brother. I have a biology background, but I have a brother, an older brother, who's a physicist, a theoretical physicist at that, who's with us again a second time, and I'm so happy that he came from San Francisco to show his support with Marina, his wife, for FAST, but it also happens to be his birthday today, and so I want to wish him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, everyone. All right. So let me welcome everyone to this gala, and thank you immensely for your present but also future support for FAST. We're counting on it. And I want to tell you about a recent trip I took, and to see if you can guess what I'm describing, where I'm talking about. So I visited a pretty vibrant country The per capita GDP was kind of comparable to that of Italy. The country's security was everyone's priority. Sovereignty was assured through state-of-the-art technology, an uncompromising stance of the government towards building alliances, suppressing threats, deterring threats. They had an extensive network of connections with all sorts of economies all around the world. Some of you might be thinking Singapore. Some of you might be thinking Israel. They have one of the most educated countries in the world, several universities ranking among the top 100 in the world. They have instilled in their generation a courage to try new things, very, very early age. They have a very vibrant art world, humanities, and they really encourage imagination. There are some 5,000 active startups in this place. There's dozens of multinational companies that have chosen to put part of their R&D infrastructure in this country, working in technology, biology, many other fields. And their networks across the world is the source of much of their advantage. They have become a network economy. So, which country do you think that I visited? Singapore. Well, turns out Ireland. Anywhere else? Croatia. Now, it turns out, quite ironically, that I was in Singapore last week. But that's not what I was describing. See, what I was trying to describe is the country of Armenia in 2041. And you heard my dear friend Ruben Vartanyan describe to you that in 2041, we will collectively celebrate the 50th anniversary of Armenia's most recent act of independence and building a country from scratch, from ashes in many ways economically. And the question is, can we get there from here in such a short period of time, 18 years? And before you decide that that's too short a period of time to get to the place that I was describing, you have to realize that 16, 17 years ago in this country, there was no iPhone. Right? Think about the iPhone just as one instance of how fast something could be a transformational agent, and you think that it's been around for a long time. These things can happen pretty quickly. So what do we need to build such a country that I just described? And I want to just throw out a couple of ideas for you to think about. The first, I already mentioned, is imagination. It's the ability to just let ourselves dream of what could be. Now, you might say, boy, Armenians, other than in arts, we don't really use much imagination. We really never had to. We were constantly living under some empire, so what imagination? But I will contend to you that those of us who have descended from survivors are the product of the imagination of those survivors. Because those survivors of genocide imagined their ability to get through the hell that they lived and to reestablish their lives, reestablish their families, go to new countries and make it. And if that doesn't take imagination, I don't know what does. So we are well endowed with the capability to imagine when we're under a lot of stress. And I think we now all have to go there. We can't just take safe steps. We can't just do things that we're good at. We have to do things that take imagination. And it turns out science and technology takes a lot of imagination. The second thing it takes is faith. Now, many of you in the room are, I'm sure, faithful members of the Armenian Church, and you might be thinking I'm talking about that type of faith. And that's important as well. That's what keeps us rooted as Armenians. But the faith I'm talking about is the ability to believe something that doesn't look possible, that doesn't look real. Faith is belief without facts. And if we can imagine some things and we can believe in them long before they're proven to be possible. So the Armenia I described to you in 2041, I'm sure many of you say, yeah, right, we're going to be like Italy, and we're going to do this, and the answer is, well, if you say that, then it's over. Because if you don't believe it can happen, it definitely will not happen. There's no country that accidentally became Singapore, that accidentally became Israel. So we have to have imagination and faith. And then the third thing we need to do is to have courage to convert that faith into action, into reality. And that courage, I think we each have to find inside each and every one of us. It's amazing how Armenians who go all around the world absolutely act with courage. But the question is, how are we going to awaken this courage in Armenia? This courage to change things, this courage to speak up, this courage to imagine, to drive, to try new things. That courage follows the imagination and the faith. And the last thing we need, without which none of this is going to happen, is collaboration. Is the ability to just work together. Together within Armenia, together between Armenia diaspora, together between Armenians and non-Armenians around the world, just together. There's no version of where we're going to be remotely successful if we isolate ourselves, think we're better than everybody, think, the Armenian expression I learned 35 years ago when I first started getting engaged with Armenian things more seriously, professionally, it's the expression they use in Armenia, gidem. It's an awful expression, absolutely awful. I would hope we all say chukidem, and then learn, and then let somebody extend a hand. This kidem thing is a closed door right in your face. And so think about that. Think about what it is when somebody in the government tells you, no, we got this. Or somebody in an NGO tells you that, or somebody, anything. So FAST is a place where we admit we don't know, but we intend to find out, and we intend to help other people learn. And so the education part comes from understanding that we actually don't know. So, the other thing that you have to realize, and just one thought to put in your head, is this notion of immigration. See, and those of us in the diaspora are very concerned about Armenians leaving Armenia and emigrating. And if you ask, why does somebody leave Armenia? It's because they envision a better life somewhere else. By the way, that's an act of imagination too. Because they don't know they're going to have a better life, but they imagine a better life in Los Angeles, in Paris, in Canada, wherever. So if we can imagine a better life in Los Angeles, how about if we imagine a better life in 2041? In other words, how about if we try to immigrate, not in space, but in time? So how about if we had competitions, if we had classes, if we had discussions, said, what is the 2041 that we want to immigrate to? Because I'm very sure that when a picture, like I tried to draw, of a better 2041 in Armenia, worth immigrating to, if we had a collective vision of that, then our impatience would cause us to make the sacrifices and create that 2041 for our kids. And that's how progress happens. That's how countries transform. We know how to do this. The question is, can we actually galvanize against realizing that our past will inform us, our present will enable us, but our future should guide us. And we have no sense of what our future will be, generally speaking. We hope, inshallah, we use the Arabic expression, it's all going to be fine. So I think as we think about tonight and what you're going to hear from Ardam, think about these things and how we can channel our collective experiences towards this activity. There's a great saying I'll end this with, and then I want to introduce Ardam to you. It's a saying by George Bernard Shaw. It says the following: imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will. That's what I'm talking about. So I hope that through your participation with FAST, through your direct involvement in whatever projects you're doing, you engage in a lifelong commitment to learning, to imagining, to converting into reality, and to, despite some elements of Armenian society in the country not wanting this type of change, that we bring this change about so that we can secure a brighter future. So that's my message to you tonight. And thanks for listening to it, and thanks for being quiet too. I appreciate it. Now, it gives me great pleasure to be able to have the honor of introducing Ardam Patapoutian to you. Ardam embodies someone who did these things in his own domain, and through that got worldwide recognition. And one of the great things Ardam represents to me, as do many others who have achieved a standing in their field of being the top in the world, is a demonstration that Armenians can be the top in the world. Not regionally, not compared to Azerbaijan, not compared to, given our size, just period, the best. And so think of what he's saying from that point of view and realize that we should aim at least as high. And if there's 10 more people that can get there, great. And if there's 100, we can have even a bigger gala for them. So let me just very quickly tell you about Ardam's background. Dr. Patapoutian is a molecular biologist specializing in a sensory transduction. His research led to the identification of novel ion channels and receptors activated by temperature, mechanical force, increased cell volume, and importantly, he also revealed the underlying mechanisms for something that I had not heard of, I'll admit, as a molecular biologist and engineer, which is proprioception. I hope he's going to mention what that means tonight, because he has a very simple explanation of what this means and why it's very important. This also covers areas of pain and vascular tone, etc. Importantly, he was born in Lebanon in 1967. He attended AUB for 1 year before he immigrated to the US in 1986. He graduated from UCLA in 1990 and received his PhD in Caltech in 1996. After his postdoc at UCSF, he joined the faculty of Scripps Research in 2000, where he's currently professor in the Department of Neuroscience. He's also held positions at the Genomics Institute of the Novartis Research Foundation from 2000 to 2014. Ardam was awarded the Young Investigator Award from the Society of Neuroscience, and he is an investigator of the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, which those of you in the field will know is the most prestigious standing an investigator can have. Ardam is a fellow of the American Association of Advancement of Science, a member of National Academy of Science, a member of American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He's a co-recipient of 2017 Alden Spencer Award from Columbia, 2019 Rosenstiel Award for distinguished work in basic medical research. I want you to take all that in. This to science is what the beautiful music you heard is to music. So take it in, just kind of at least hear the notes, because these are significant things that I'm saying to you. In 2020, he was awarded the Kavli Prize in Neuroscience together with David Julius. And in 2021, BBVA Foundation Frontiers of Knowledge Award, also with David Julius. Oh yeah, okay, so one more thing, he also won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, also with David Julius. I'm almost done. Now, I told you about a funny thing about Armin's last name, and Ardam is thinking there is no way he knows what Patapoutian means, and he's right. But one of my colleagues, Armin, who's with us, had the thought that we should ask ChatGPT to create a joke about Ardam. And so the prompt was, why did Ardam Patapoutian become a scientist? Kid you not. And the answer that came back was, because he wanted to decode the mysteries of the universe, not just the mysteries of his Armenian last name. That's what ChatGPT said. Like, we can't take credit for it. That is scary and funny at the same time. Ardam, please join us.
Okay, so my first advice to all of you is never follow Noubar Afeyan to the stage. Not a good idea. Distinguished guests, friends, thank you for coming and thank you for inviting me. I'm such a huge believer in the importance of STEM education and research in the role of Armenia in the future. I've become a huge fan of FAST. And so when Noubar asked me to come and be with you here tonight, I was very happy to accept. So what I want to do today is just share with you a little bit of my personal journey through science and give you my thoughts on the importance of supporting the next generation of Armenians to get a great education, think creatively, and have access to research and advanced learning. So I grew up in Lebanon, like many of you, And as you know, this was during the Civil War, so it was very difficult times. We didn't have electricity, we had to carry water, there were bombs. I even personally managed to be kidnapped by militants for a few hours. So all of this was very difficult, and I think one of the things you learned through all this is resilience when facing difficulties. And especially because of the kidnapping part, I felt like I had to leave that country. And when I came to the United States, it was very difficult times. Financially, I was poor. And there I learned to embrace uncertainty, because that's what you're subjected with. So these features, resilience and embracing uncertainty, happen to be great characteristics to succeed in science. So if you survive Lebanon, you can certainly succeed in science. But of course, that's not enough. You also need an education. And Armenians, all of us, value this very much, you all know this, and can emphasize the importance of this, not just for individual success, but for the success of the country. And I've been very fortunate. I got a great private education in Lebanon through AGBU, an Armenian private school. Started at AUB, but came here and went to the great institutions of learning here, UCLA, Caltech, and UCSF. But honestly, I could not even afford UCLA unless there was aid. And at that time, I was recipient of Pell Grants from the government. And that was absolutely important for me to get into the education of universities to begin with. So we, collectively, have to make sure that every kid in Armenia also has the same opportunities. So in my educational journey, really to become a scientist, a very chance situation really changed my career. So I was always thought I was going to be going to medical school, which is a great profession, of course. And one of the things I realized at UCLA, since classes were so massive, my biology class was 200 students, I realized that I was never going to meet a professor and know them well enough for them to write a letter of recommendation for me to go to write them so that I can go to medical school. And so I had this brilliant idea that although I hated lab classes, that I would work in a laboratory just to get to know a professor so that they would write me this letter of recommendation for medical school. But of course, the way things work out is I absolutely fell in love with doing research. I loved the actual discovery process. I loved the research culture, and that was it for me. So I kind of switched, instead of an MD, went for a PhD. And I should say that there was quite a bit of pushback from family at first. You know, everybody wants a doctor in the family, the medical kind. But now everybody's very proud, and I'm very glad that I got to explore my passion and do what I really wanted to do. So I think this is very important, to explore and find your passion. That's another very important message. So often as parents and educators, we encourage our kids to get higher education so they can succeed in life. But I'm also here to tell you that you also need to let them fail. There was absolutely no indication from my youth that I would be a successful scientist. Zero, nothing. If you don't believe me, you can ask my brother Ara there, or my cousin Hago, who knew me as a teenager, and know that there was no great promise for me. And I want to give you specific examples of this. My kindergarten year, after the year was over, my teacher talked to my mom and said, he really needs to repeat kindergarten. I was a shy kid, I didn't talk much, and you know, that was the impression. And my mom was like, no way. Anyway, so that's another story. And this continued. Through high school, in 10th grade, at Hovagimian Manukyan, we were 5 students only left in West Beirut, and they used to rank us at the end of the year, and I was ranked 3rd out of 5. So pretty average student, I would say. And it keeps going. Even at Caltech, during my oral exams, I only got a conditional passing. I had to write another essay just to satisfy those professors who have reminded them again and again after the Nobel that they gave me conditional pass. So the point is, you don't know where success will come from. Don't judge too soon. And especially in science and entrepreneurial enterprises, failure is really an important factor, and embracing this uncertainty to failure is very important. So the most important message I can give to parents and educators is to give the best education to the youth, but give them room to breathe, to explore, to fail, and ultimately find their calling. So Armenia does not have oil, and its best natural resource is its people. And once again, we're experiencing aggression from our neighbors. So as outlined in my previous words, I strongly believe that education in general, but especially in science and technology, as well as creating an environment that supports innovation, is at the core of modern economic growth. You'd say, is there any evidence for this? Absolutely. South Korea in the 60s, they started investing massively in education, focusing in STEM, and within a few decades, they transformed themselves from an agrarian society to one that is one of the world's leading technology and manufacturing powerhouses. As you heard from Noubar, similar stories from Singapore, Israel, Finland, there's a lot of examples. And Armenia could indeed be next. How many potential Noubar Afeyans are there in corners of Armenia that, given a great education and opportunities, might discover the next cure to the next pandemic, or will transform our understanding of the world and how we interact with it by using artificial intelligence and maybe coming up with the next ChatGPT. I can't think of a better organization than FAST to help achieve this. With programs like Advance and Generation AI in supporting research that will inspire the next generation with your help by providing access to knowledge and to mentors. So please let us work together to improve STEM education, and you will see that many more students, just like me, will be resilient, embrace uncertainty, get a great education, fail, find their calling, fail again, but at the end, ultimately, some of them will help humanity by lifting the nation of Armenia with them. Thank you.
So just thank you.
So proprioception is the most important sense that most of you don't know about it. It is how I can close my eyes and touch my nose, and the way I can do this is I have sensors in my muscles that when you're a kid, how much they're stretched, without looking, you know exactly where your limbs are in space. So the reason you all take it for granted and don't know about it is because you can't turn it off. So I can close my eyes and imagine a world without seeing, but I can't turn off proprioception unless you have too much whiskey. You get close to that, but the point is, it's a very important sense, and we actually have individuals who don't have this. They can't walk, they can't stand up, they can't do anything that we can take for granted, and sometimes it's called the sixth sense, so there it is.
See, next year when each of you will be back, I'm going to find whoever says hello to me and ask them what's proprioception. And if you don't know or don't remember, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. But then that will mean you will have failed, but then you'll succeed the year after. Okay. Thank you so much, Ardam. I want to just wrap this part up by just saying presenting Ardam with one thing. This is a book that just was published in Armenia. It is quite a well-known book worldwide. It was written by Erwin Schrödinger. It's called Ervin in Armenian. Schrödinger, you may know, who's really one of the powerhouse physicists of the past century, actually as a physicist took it upon himself to write a book to give some lectures that were musings in biology. He wanted to use his physics understanding to see if he could understand back in 1950. 1952 is when this appeared first time. 52 is the book's original printing. That the lectures were earlier, but 52, see what happens with brothers? I can't believe your brother didn't yell something. So, Erwin Schrödinger wrote a book, What is Life? 70 years later, a good friend of ours in Armenia translated it to Armenian, and it's called Inchek Yanka. It's meant for young Armenians who have a physics, math background to actually see how their predecessors thought about biology and how far that field of biology has come. Now, the reason I'm bringing it here, it was just published last month, is because this is one of the very few copies. It's quite a limited production. And the person who undertook this actually approached me and said, would you write a foreword? Which I've never done and I probably will never do since. But I was asked to write a foreword. Worse yet, I asked my brother, the physicist, to write a foreword. So this is a book that is an Armenian translation of Erwin Schrödinger's work with a foreword from the two Afeyan brothers that I want to give to Ardam as a memory of this evening. Ardam, thank you.
This is a very special book for scientists. Schrödinger, as Noubar said, wrote this book, and actually it inspired a whole generation of physicists to leave boring physics behind and dedicate themselves to understanding life, biology. And so people like Francis Crick, who together with Jim Watson discovered the structure of DNA, was actually physics converted to biology. And so this cross-pollination of different sciences and cultures is very important. So this is very dear to me. I've lost some of my ability to read in Armenian, but this will be great practice. Thank you.
Well, it's a lot of fun following a Nobel laureate, that's for sure.
Thank you, Dr. Afeyan and Dr. Patapoutian, for those very inspirational messages. Can we please have one more round of applause for both? As we have heard tonight, education is the key to success. It is now your turn, our turn, to help our Armenian students in Armenia succeed.
Well, before we begin, we want to start by thanking our key donors for this evening. We'd like to thank the Israeli family and also the Sapedjian Family Foundation. We appreciate you very much for supporting our scientists and AI education in high schools. So, as we begin, we would like to now take all this inspiration and put it into action. But we want to give you a little bbit of incentive. I mean, you have a lot of incentive to begin with, but there's a few things that we have that are exciting. We have a money tile for $2,500 donation that our volunteers will be walking around with, and you'll see behind us as well. And this is done by Martiros Saryan, a beautiful Armenian landscape, and it's ceramic. And for those who would like to give more, for $10,000, we have that amazing book that Noubar just gifted to Ardam with a special signature, I believe, from Ardam autograph, which is
Dr. Afeyan.
And Dr. Afeyan. So you get a double whammy. Now that's pretty special.
But we only have limited numbers of books.
Yes, we have, how many do we have of the moneta? We have
35, but we did receive one donation already of $5,200 from Anushavan Yeranosyan, so one's already spoken for.
Thank you, Anushavan. And by the way, he's representing from Las Vegas. Thank you, Anushavan.
So I think that leaves us with 34 of the plates.
Yes. And also for the books, I believe we only have 10 of those, so.
Well, one went to Dr. Patapoutian, so we're left with 9.
And it is first come, first serve, so.
We did try to make this as easy as possible. We have 3 ways where you can make your donations tonight. Again, for those who have already contributed, thank you. For those who were moved to contribute for the first time or contribute some more, we say thank you again. But we have made it easier for you. You will notice there are QR codes on the back of your program for this evening, as well as on little tents on your tables. Grab your phones. I know, as we heard earlier, we all have iPhones now, right? Most of us do, at least, if not an iPhone, maybe an Android. But you can snap a photo of that QR code. It will open up and take you right to the page where you can donate. Quick and easy. We are going to have a thermometer that's going to come up shortly that will start showing all the donations as they come in. If you would like to make your donation anonymous, there's a little box. Please check it.
So I think, Liz, are we ready? Are we ready?
Do have, should we talk about the donation cards and the paddle bags a little bit?
Sure.
You want to take it?
Go ahead.
Okay, got it. We do have envelopes on the table as well. For those of you who would rather not go with the QR codes on your phones, there are little white envelopes with pens and a card inside. We do have volunteers who will be circulating the room. All you simply need to do is write your name. You were handed a very fancy little card when you came in that has a number. That is a unique number to you, so I hope you held on to it because somebody could make a bid in your name if you left it somewhere. That unique number is tied to your name. So on those cards, if you just write your name and your number and the amount that you are willing to donate, we will have volunteers who will come and collect those cards for you. Third of all, those fun little cards that you have with you, those are actually paddles that you can raise that will identify you as a donor. Again, those same volunteers will come by, write your name, it'll go up on the board, and we'll be able to see who has been moved enough and who wants to match and who wants to top a previous donor.
I think they've got the instructions. Everybody on board? Okay, so we're going to start by kicking off the donations. Don't be shy, and if you have maybe a reason why you're donating tonight and you lift your paddle, I can come by and talk to you for a minute as well.
With that, we're going to ask you to please reflect back on the last 2 hours of your evening. You all chose to be here because you believe in the mission of FAST, you believe in advancing Armenia, you believe in supporting these students like Haik and the almost 50 others you saw on the screen in making their dreams and our Armenia what it can be by the year 2041. With that, do we have anybody who is ready to make a live bid? We have one there. I'm going to open up this. We've got bidder number 3902. If we can have a volunteer come this way to 3902 in this front table right here, please. I see 5303 in that back corner. As they confirm your donations, the amounts will be input in the computer and we'll be able to see them.
In the meantime, I want to describe to you what you can buy for $5,000. $5,000 donation will, for a class of high school student, can have opportunities to deepen their knowledge and skills in math, statistics, and the fundamentals of AI, like Python. So that is a huge step. That's for $5,000. For $10,000, a classroom can be converted into a computer lab, which we plan to do in 10 high schools. But of course, any portion of that will get us to our goal. For $10,000, where you get the book, you also get to have a classroom converted into a computer lab, which is planned to do in 10 high schools. So don't be shy.
We have had a few donations come in. We have a $250 I can't speak up here.
$2,500?
Nope, $250 donation. We have a $500 donation. We have a $1,000 donation. They're coming in. I also see silent auction items are coming up on the screen behind us. Those are being input as well. So don't forget the silent auction. That's going to close after we're done up here. Ooh,
Okay.
I see a big
We
one.
have a really exciting bid here. We want to thank Mr. Araksya, who just donated $10,000. Bravo, Ara.
Keep them coming. We've got another. We have a $5,000 donor from Harut Armenian. Thank you.
And next, we have another generous donation from Ruzana Avedisian, who donated $5,000. Thank you so much. So, while we're waiting, we just got word that we have a donor who is willing, if we're able to raise $125,000 tonight, he will match with $125,000. I would like to name that as Mr. Stepan Gevorkians and also Noyan Zavagnev. And thank you so much. And if you'll humor me, I'm going to walk down over to their table and just hear a little bit from Anahid what their inspiration is for this donation.
Fantastic.
Keep them coming, Liz.
They are coming. I see a $1,000 donation, $1,050, $105. Keep them coming. While Lena makes her way down there carefully, and I'm not sure if I should say this, but we have been very careful going down these stairs. It's a bit challenging. I don't know if any of you have done this. But we wanted to talk a little bit about the Generation AI program. You heard us touch upon it briefly tonight. Generation AI is going to launch in the fall of this year, September, just a couple of months away. The idea is that we are going to implement artificial intelligence education into the high schools, not after school, not weekends, not extracurricular, but within the high school curriculum. I don't think we even have that here. So it's super exciting to see that happening. The pilot program is going to launch in 10 high schools where they can apply, they have to go through a process, and they will be selected. These 10 high schools will impact the lives of 450 students. This is a pilot. After figuring this out and perfecting the program, the plan is to launch horizontally into all the high schools in Armenia. And I'm not just saying Yerevan, I'm talking Armenia, all of it. Every single student will have the opportunity to have artificial intelligence, coding, education within their high school curriculum. Can you imagine what that means for these high school students as they graduate high school and advance in their careers? This is what we're talking about here tonight, advancing Armenia. So, keep those donations coming. Lena, are you? Oh, Lena's coming back, okay. Careful, careful.
We have truly generous but very humble donors. I was trying to get a word out of them, but instead they gave me more checks, and that is truly, truly generous. So I would like to announce that from Auto Speed LA, we have another donation for $6,000. Thank you so much for your generosity.
So nobody can communicate with us.
Okay, well, while people are thinking about donations, and we want to give you time. No pressure, of course, but we're just up here. But let's give you a few more interesting facts. One of the really interesting things I have to say for me as a female, one of the interesting projects that are coming up for FAST is something called WIN, which is Women Innovators in Progress, which is encouraging women innovators into starting startup companies in Armenia. And I think that's particularly amazing, especially in Armenia, to give women that opportunity to be successful, to be encouraged, and to build their foundations for success.
So last year at this gala, the inaugural gala, first time FAST was introduced to the greater Los Angeles community, we came together in this same exact room and we raised $1.4 million. 1.4 million. That number just leapt up. When I thought of that, we were almost halfway there. We are now at $879,000. We're getting there.
I think we're doing pretty good.
What I'd like to know from the committee back there is if you are able to let us know what amount has been donated tonight and how close we are to reaching $125,000 to confirm that $125,000 that we see on this board. If you can text me, I finally have a phone. If I can get a text from someone up here, we'll know where we are and how much more.
While we're waiting for that text, with Generation AI, that's 10 high schools, 450 students in the pilot program. When it expands, that's going to be implemented into Armenian high schools throughout Armenia. And we're not just talking about Yerevan, because as we know, there's a lot of talent and need for education in a lot of the rural areas where there's no access. So FAST is doing a fantastic job of giving equitable access to all the talent in Armenia, whether you're in a remote village or whether you're in Yerevan. And that's to really keep the youth in the rural areas and keep those areas thriving.
As you heard our MC Araksya mention earlier today, Boston had their first inaugural gala, March 2, not too long ago. They raised $500,000 there. With their $500,000 fundraising, and we have now hit $940,000 here. Okay, never mind, the numbers are changing.
We can hit $1 million? I mean, I think that's a good goal.
This is LA, we gotta be better than Boston. I would love to outdo last year if we can.
I think we have some friends from Boston here.
Sorry, we'll visit you in Boston next year. Let me see. So we have a $525 donation that's gone on there. We have $1,000, $262.50. So whoever that is has, Armand Gilavian has covered the expenses of running a credit card. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have a $200 donation. Mr. Bedros Afeyan, $5,100. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you very much. Thank you, Bedros. And also, we have a donation from Gary Bayatian, which is $2,100. You know, every donation counts, and we want to encourage you. There is no amount that's too little, because whether you're buying a CPU computer, is that right? Is that what we're calling
it? What was it?
GPU computer.
We're not techies. Nurse and lawyer. Sorry. I'm looking at my text here. So we have an additional 1,000. You guys, I think the names are scrolling behind us. We have 1,000, another 1,000, another 1,000, 105, another 1,050. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. We have here another 500. Ooh, I see a Boston donation here. Thank you. 1,050. See, I'm trying to get a number to see what we've raised in this room tonight. We have another donation that came in that gets us one of these beautiful plates from Alan Janali, 2625, 2,625. Sorry, we missed that. The donations are coming in so quickly. I did not point that one out. Thank you. Ooh, we just got another one.
Okay, well, we all just got a wonderful donation from Afeyan, who just donated $5,000. Let's give it up for Ada. Thank you.
We just received two donations. We have $1,000 from Patapoutian and $1,050 from Home. Not sure who that is, but thank you. Thank you. I think the team back there is really quickly trying to add to see if we've hit that 125 so that we can announce that we will have that $125,000 match. We have a total raise tonight of $826,630 so far.
We're getting there, Liz.
Yeah, I think we can do better. The silent auction is still open. There are beautiful items on display in this corner here. There are a couple of things out in the foyer. And do we have I think I see them working diligently back there. So I keep pushing the $125,000 match. $125,000 is going to fund an entire research team for 1 year. The research team will be fully supported and allowed to conduct cutting-edge research with the lead of an international principal investigator. You all heard Hike talk about his PI, his principal investigator, being from New York. Someone from New York, a professional from New York, is working with a group of PhD students in Armenia. $125,000 raised in this room will fund one grant. That will then be matched. So we will have two grants funded if we get to $125,000 in the room. Let's see if I
think that's a pretty exciting goal. Well, as we're wrapping it up, if there are any final donations, we'll be happy to announce them. But we would like to thank you at this time for your generosity. We really appreciate it. FAST Foundation appreciates it, and you're doing something amazing. And as the team is tabulating the total donations tonight, we would like to express our thanks to all of our supporters. And let's begin with that. Go ahead, Liz.
Our innovator level supporters, again, Mr. and Mrs. Sarkis and Nunes Afeyan. Round of applause, please. Mr. Joe Barnes, who has funded 2 grants. These are last year's as well. 2 grants last year. And we have an anonymous donor who also funded 2 years of the grants last year.
We also have the innovator donors. That's the Israeli family and the Sepedjan Family Foundation in memory of Poles and Yosabet Sepedjan that we mentioned earlier. Thank you so much.
At the champion level donation, we have FastX, and we had Mr. Stepan Gavorkian, who had already come in and decided to do this tonight with us.
So thank you very much, Stepan. Also for our advocates, we have the Ardam Family Foundation and also Blue IP, Mr. and Mrs. Armin and Catherine Patapoutian, Mr. and Mrs. Kevork and Elizabeth Dorian, my co-chair.
A special thank you again to Dr. Ardam Patapoutian and to our FAST Gala committee.
A very special thank you to FAST Team Armenia and a special acknowledgement to Anush Zenarian. Thank you for all of your tremendous help and support, Anush. For the FAST founders, the Board of Trustees, and the Board of Advisors, as well as the founding CEO, Dr. Armin Orujian.
And thank you to all of our silent auction donors, Emil Kazaz Museum and Fine Art Academy.
Also artist Tikran Titosian, thank you.
Once again, Mr. Stepan and Vahe Gevorkian donated to our salmon auction. Thank you.
Anush Igasyan.
One Armenia for those wonderful opportunities to explore Armenia.
Stefan Papazian.
Serge Tonkian.
Berj Najarian.
Tateosyan.
WinesOfArmenia.com.
And Armen Avayan.
For the partners of the gala, we would like to thank Wines of Armenia.
And LA Banquet, Mr. Rej Sarkisian for his hospitality, generosity, and impeccable dining. Could we please give Rej and the entire team at Landmark for their outstanding service a big round of applause. Thank you to all of you. Thank you.
And also thank you to our outstanding Greg Hosharian and the Armenian Fox Ensemble, and our amazing performer, Giselle Hosharian. Thank you for the fabulous entertainment.
Sevag with Meridian Audio Visual for making every transition absolutely seamless. Thank you.
And to our MC, Mrs. Araksya, Karapetyan, thank you.
To my wonderful co-chair for making this absolutely more fun than I could have imagined.
Excellent. And to my amazing co-chair, Liz Dorian. And also we want to extend, this is the last thank you everyone, our sincere and
heartfelt gratitude to all of our esteemed donors,
partners, volunteers, and attendees for their most generous support. Thank you all.
But wait.
One more thing.
Wait. No drum roll yet, because apparently we need $20,000 more dollars, no joke, $20,000 more dollars to reach $125,000 in the room tonight. Can we all rally just a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper in your pockets? 20,000, there are 400 of us in this room tonight. 400 of us. Anything we raise at the silent auction also counts towards this goal. Anush, will you please text us as the numbers come in? Oh, I see a hold a moment. Okay. Well, looks like Mr. Eddie Atoyan donated $4,000. It's included in this count, but Mr. Atoyan, thank you so much. We'll get you one of the money tile plates. Thank you. They're working diligently back there. I sure hope we're going to hit that $20,000. I'd hate to walk away from $125,000. Dig deep, come on. I know it's in there. Let me see. We'll give them another moment. We are at a total of 909,392 so far.
Okay, ready?
I keep trying. Do I have it? We just got a $10,000 donation from Mr. Armen Panosyan.
Thank you,
Armen. Thank you, Armen.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. That means we're only 10,000 away from our match.
Come on. It could be a silent auction item, or two, or a check, or a QR code. We get all of them. Oh, we just got another.
I think we can do 10,000.
Come on, we can do 10,000, you guys. Come on. We're all friends now. Come on. 10,000 more. That's all we're asking for. That's all. Just 10,000 more. Refreshing. Maybe someone is a little shy.
I think now we're getting to the total.
It's on the screen behind us. It's at the grand total of
909,392.50. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for a very successful evening, and we're going to close with a beautiful song by Giselle Hosharian. The music, the words to the music are inside your pamphlet, and you'll be finding them in there for Yerevan Yerepuni.
Yeah.